Rachel's job on my end too.
Yep. Alright, I'm gonna go up.
You're good at
When I
that.
see you walk by, I'll come take
I
video.
have mastered
Bye.
that function.
He doesn't want to hang out with us anymore.
See ya.
The button.
We got some guy coming in to cut a spot real quick, so.
Okay.
Alright, so you girls are ready whenever you want to start. Ladies, I should say, sorry. No girls.
What are we naming this today? Do you need a name for the show? Right?
614Fempreneur.
It's already on, so.
Well. Danielle, what would you like to name the show today?
Something about the new spot, something about the mansion.
What do you typically name them?
Rachel?
What was like the last?
Okay, we'll come up with it later.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't know what Mel's was, so.
Yeah, we'll look at it. Maybe we'll
We can
play
see
off that.
that.
Okay.
Alright, you ladies are ready.
Oh, do you want to introduce her?
No, why don't you do? You
Okay.
can do. Yeah, go ahead and you.
I'll introduce you
Actually,
first.
I'll introduce her.
Okay.
Danielle Lim, HavenCollective.
Yes.
What's your Instagram handle?
At Haven.Collective.
Right. Robert Shane. Yeah, right now let's do it. Yes, okay. I'm ready.
Alright, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to 614Fempreneur. I am Michal Cheney, and I'm
Who?
for Kessel-White.
Ow! Hey everybody, JKW here, Jen Kessel-White with Welcome Home 614, your favorite Columbus real estate agent, real estate investor, and just this believer in everything female entrepreneurial.
So real quick, how is the real estate market in Columbus?
You know what? Thanks for asking. The real estate market in Columbus is actually really starting to take a little bit of a slowdown.
Okay.
It's just taking a break. Everybody's getting ready for back to school, and right now their thought process is like, hey, we're hanging in, we're just finishing up our summer, but it'll pick back up in September.
Okay.
And you know what though? That's a great time for buyers to call me, and let's get out there so there's not a lot of competition.
Exactly.
Right? I don't know.
I like it.
Yeah. So, hey, I can talk about me all day, but let's introduce our guest.
Yes, let's do it.
All right, everybody, welcome Danielle Lim from Haven You can please follow her at haven.collective. And Danielle, thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Oh,
so much fun.
It's our pleasure. There's so many things going on with Haven Collective right now. I feel like we, first of all, if you don't mind, just tell us a little bit about what Haven is. Start there.
Yeah, so Haven Collective is a co-working community in Upper Arlington, right off of Riverside Drive. And we offer our members shared services for their businesses. So we have freelancers, entrepreneurs, small businesses, consultants, basically anyone who works from home, who's tired of working from home, can come in and hang out with us in our open co-working areas. They can get a dedicated desk that's all their own, or they can upgrade all the way to a private office, as well as attend events. And we have a kids club at Haven. So
You do?
We do.
Tell me about that.
We do. So members who have kiddos that are roaming around during the day with them while they're trying to get their work done sometimes need some quiet space to focus and either take a conference call or hold a meeting or a workshop. And so they can bring their kiddos with them to Haven, and we have babysitters that take care of them so that they can have a professional moment to themselves.
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome.
it's like, can you do it for like an hour? Is there a duration of time that you recommend, suggest? Or
Yeah,
what
so
does that look
usually
like?
if you want to get into a flow, you're going to need at least 2 hours, you know, of doing that. And so, you know, starting there and whatever you need.
So I
Wow.
want to say real quick, we had her business partner Mel on.
Yes.
Yes.
It was when you were out drinking wine with Gary Vee.
I was out drinking wine with
And
Gary
we
Vee.
can't even be mad about that.
I know. Who's going to hate on that?
Um,
Just be jealous. I don't know.
But what's interesting, and I caught myself because I had this preconceived notion, and this is awful, I hate to say it, that Haven was really catered towards females. And guess why I thought that?
No, I don't know why.
Because of the child care. I know that's,
Yeah.
but it's one of the questions I
So
asked
you
her.
just had an assumption.
I know.
I thought this
I'm
was
an
a
awful
female
person.
co-working space.
You may.
I did have that.
Yeah.
I did, and now I'm
That's your
admitting
fault.
it.
And,
You're not alone. We actually, that's the biggest misconception about Haven. We're an inclusive community, and so, you know, that's people of all types. We probably have about 30 to 40% male members.
that's great.
So, you know, everybody has
Yeah,
kids.
And do they bring their
I
kids?
couldn't agree more.
Do the men bring their kids?
Some of them do, yeah. Not everyone at Haven has children. I'm one of those who's childless at the moment. So, you know, it's really, it's not so much of a daycare or kids club that they're, you know, it's not like there's lots of kids around.
Yeah, you don't want to feel like
it's just a few kids
like,
at
hey
a time.
guys, get out of here! Someone's
exactly.
hanging off my leg. Like I'm trying to type an email.
Exactly. So there's just a few kiddos at a time, and you know, not everybody brings them, but it works for all of us.
Awesome. So I have to know how you picked to do this business. Why a co-working space?
Oh, goodness.
How'd you come across that?
You know, it was the perfect mix of events that transpired. I had been working from home for over 10 years and had recently been married, and I was complaining to my best friend, Melissa Blackburn, about all of the things that were missing from the environment here in Columbus that I wished that we had. And at the same moment, she, always wanting to be an entrepreneur, always wanting to have her own business, was transitioning out of her company after a big exit, and she basically told me that that's what we were going to do.
Oh, really?
And the next thing I know, we actually are.
That's awesome.
We just jumped right in. But I was just worried that in working from home, when you're single, looks a lot different than working from home when you're in a relationship. And then on top of that, my husband and I knew we always wanted to have kids, so how on earth was I going to do that with kiddos running around? And I already had difficulty.
What was your career at the time while you were working?
So yeah, I was working for many of those years, running the back office of a venture capital firm, and then transitioned the last 3 years of my career before Haven were running the marketing department for a solar company.
Okay,
Nice.
very
So
cool.
yeah, a lot of different
plus,
things.
don't you think like working from home, it's kind of boring and
It's lonely.
I worked from home for a while, and although I loved the flexibility, it was so lonely.
It's hard to get motivation too. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm still wearing my slippers. It's 3 p.m. What am I doing?
Or, oh my gosh, I've got laundry sitting right there that I can see.
And like you can totally fold it and do that instead of working. Yeah.
Yeah. When was the last time I saw the sun?
Yeah, exactly.
You go to bed in, upstairs or in your bedroom, and
It's
you
just the
wake up
same,
and you're on
yeah.
your laptop,
Yeah.
and you forget that
Where did you
there's-
come up with the name Haven?
Oh, that was a lot of fun. We did a huge brainstorming session, actually, and
Did it involve whiteboard and wine? Or
it involved wine.
Uh-huh.
Our version of a whiteboard were giant Post-its at the time because we
Nice.
were doing this from my condo, but we wanted to know what we wanted it to feel like for everyone, and so we started brainstorming what emotions we wanted them to have, what experiences we wanted them to have in the space, how we wanted them to feel there, and then we literally broke out a thesaurus and started looking at like what are some cool words that mean a lot of these things, like what embodies what we're talking about. And Haven just came to us. The minute we read it, it was like, yep, that's it.
I did not know that backstory, and now it like makes perfect sense because I've been to the space and it fits.
Yeah.
So talk about what the space is supposed to mean for someone and what's it supposed to feel like.
Okay, so yeah, if you've been in a co-working space or even at most coffee shops, you're going to notice, especially in Columbus, that they're very industrial. They can be very cold. It's hard to meet and network with people because it's set up in such a way that it's not really where you're going to bump into somebody.
It's impersonal.
And it is very impersonal.
Yeah.
That's a great word.
Oh yeah, I like to go to co-working spaces just to see what they are like. I'm sorry I haven't been to Haven yet, but I'm certainly going. And also I work from my office, my car, everywhere, so it's a good opportunity that I think if I ever did find the right one, it would be great to be a member of one. But yeah, I haven't yet.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Well, we wanted to flip it on its head. We wanted, it can be so isolating to work from home, and we didn't want you to feel isolated in our environment. We wanted you to feel welcome and nurtured and taken care of. And so we did that in our design and in our, amenities and just the layout of the space. We wanted it to feel like an extension of your home where you feel comfortable and included.
I like it.
That's awesome. So you made a big announcement this week.
Yes, we are opening number 2.
Yes. And talk about the space because it's super cool.
Yeah, so HavenCollective is going to be expanding to the downtown Columbus area this fall, and we will be moving into an old mansion on East Broad Street that is, it's 3 stories of historic beauty, and it's very grand, and it's, it's going to still have that warm, inviting atmosphere to it. It's going to look a little bit different than what you'll see in Upper Arlington. The spaces are just different on their own, but
And
you'll still have that same sense.
You're renovating the space,
Yeah.
as you did your first location. And my question is that scary? I'm sure it costs money, right?
Yes.
I'm sure you have to make some, maybe some decisions you're not used to making. I mean, you don't really have a construction background, but I know you're kind of running the show here.
Yeah.
So talk about that process.
Yeah, so, these are some of the moments when we start to, I don't want to say that we're questioning what we're getting into, but it does sometimes feel overwhelming, the decision that we've made to do this. And that's because Mel and I do everything ourselves. We will have somebody come in and do the actual painting, but we're making every decision. We're doing the financing, the fundraising for it, literally every single decision that has to be made comes through us. And so when we were opening, our first one, we weren't sure exactly how people would respond to it and if people would really get what we were trying to create.
Right.
And if they would fall in love with it like we hoped. And we did our market research, but until somebody's giving you money, you don't really have that total proof of concept. So it can have some scary moments, and I'm sure we'll experience some of that with number 2 as well, as we start bringing people through the space. And
we'll have the same name, or
so we are actually now going to be start to call the Upper Arlington location HQ, and the downtown location will be the Haven Mansion.
Nice.
But
I love it.
They're all Haven Collective.
Very cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it'll be a lot of fun.
So let me ask you a question in terms of so you and Mel are like partners, 50-50, you just go in together, trust each other. And for women starting businesses, as an entrepreneur, you're going to have the option to go solo or go with a partner. So tell me how your experience to partner up with someone has been.
I mean, for the two of us, we have known each other a very long time. I would never recommend that you meet somebody at a bar and talk about an idea and then just immediately go into business with them.
One night business
You
stand.
know, you have no idea.
I think that's what we did.
That's totally what we did.
Those dirty martinis will get you.
They were dirty martinis there. And look at this blossoming relationship now, Michael.
Brave souls.
Sometimes you gotta take the chance,
Yeah. Well, even in this, it's still a chance, that we're taking with one another.
And almost more risky. I'm sorry to cut you off, but you have the chance of getting into a fight and losing your potential, your best friend.
Right.
Absolutely.
Go ahead now.
There's no fear there. We have had to learn how to work better and communicate better together, because we were always good communicators as friends. We always worked well together when we were going through grad school together and working on projects. So we've already known what each other's, strengths were. But now we're sitting beside each other, 40 to 80 hours a week, and making every decision together. And we see each other more often than we see our husbands. And so that has taken our relationship to a different level that we knew, but until now weren't really, sure what that looked like. And it just takes a lot of work, just like any great relationship. You've got to put in everything you can if you want to get out a great result.
Have you and Mel taken the love language test with each other?
Not together.
That's a good one.
No.
Yeah, it's good to
fun.
take it with a business partner. I have a real estate business partner as well, and we both took it. We took the DISC test together, and of course, love language, just to know what is it that you're looking for, and what is it that you don't care about.
Has it helped?
That's a good one.
Yeah, it helps if you use it, right? So, but she's great with stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, what do you mean gift giving is the last on your list? I love just buying stuff and not having to do it. Wait, I can't just give you stuff and we're good? No, that's not.
It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that. I have to put the effort in. So yeah, as long as you do it and understand it, but it absolutely is amazing.
We're gonna start doing something like that with our painters. So I'm interested to see. I'll report back on that.
Report back.
Very nice.
Awesome. So here's one thing you started to talk about, and this can be scary. How do you get financing for a business? Like how do you even do that?
Yeah, well, there are a lot of different ways, and it really just depends on the type of business that you're trying to operate and grow and where you're at in that phase. I think a lot of people think that they have to do VC funding or they have to get money from private equity. Those kinds of things are really only good if you're, you know, an app developer, or like you're really looking at something that's more tech focused, something that can grow astronomically fast and have a good return for their investors because they're reporting back to other people.
Right.
I think we ended up funding this, we bootstrapped so much of what we've done. And then we've just had, you know, a few friends that have helped support our idea. But for the most part, you know, that came from our families.
Exactly.
You know, Mel and I really, you know, we really believed in this so much that we put our money where our mouth was, right? And I think, you know, if you're not willing to go that far on your own, it's hard for other people to believe in you more than you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about asking for funding from, you know, a bank or friends or, you know, investors, if you haven't shown them that you've put everything you can into that, it's going to be very, very difficult to get funding from anywhere else.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, that's a great point. No one's going to say, like, what, you still got those thousands in the bank, though?
Yeah, exactly.
Wait a second. Can I get that? You want me to give you what? No, it's not happening.
Exactly. Yeah.
Super
So-
cool. So, what do you do? Because that's got to be scary, right? You owe people money, people you know. So
People that love you.
People that love us. Yeah.
exactly. So does that cause any sort of stress?
I mean, it causes stress for our families. I mean, because so much of it came from us, really it's, you know, getting back, you know, to paying ourselves, and repairing those savings accounts and things like that. In terms of, you know, our friend relationships, you know, what we created with them was, you know, something that worked for them. And so there hasn't been stress there. We've proven so far that our concept is working. Members are coming to us. We're filling the space, which, you know, at Haven HQ, we actually this week are doing construction to add 2 more offices. So that location is also growing. And, you know, there's really, aside from what we feel internally, we feel that we are proving
Totally.
what we expected.
This is going to get personal, but so let's say someone's out there and they want to start up their business and they want to ask family or friends for money. How do you know how much money you need? And on top of that, how do you ask for it to set up like a structure of what payback looks like or payments in general?
That's a really good question.
Like what did yours look like? Because if I was to do something and I needed $100,000, I'd be like, what do you think a good idea is, Uncle Joe?
Right.
You know, I don't know. So, like, what did yours look like?
I mean, research. So I don't want to go into detail necessarily on what ours looked like, because so much of it was on us. But you know, in my background in VC, I've seen it look a lot of different ways. So a lot of times it's a straight debt note, and you know, a lot of times that means that you're paying them interest back. Going to them and asking them, you better know your business backwards and forwards. So if you don't know how much you need, keep researching.
Right.
Get it down. Know what you're asking for, and know what you think you can afford to pay them back in. So say you don't think you're going to make money for the first year. Ask them if they're okay not getting any payments back for that first year, and then set the structure to pay back after that. Sometimes, you know, you think that you can give them equity so that for the long term, they're basically your partner in this business, and they get a percentage of everything that you make because they put up money that you couldn't get on your own. So you've really got to understand who you're talking to, and also you have to know your business backwards and forwards before you make that ask.
Yeah, that's a real good point. And I have a relationship with Vinton County Bank, and they provide me some operational money for the painting business. And through that process, it made me really know that I have to know my numbers like no other, right? And Jen, you asked how do you know how much to ask for? Well, sometimes if you go through a bank, they tell you how much you can ask for because they're only going to give you a certain amount.
Absolutely.
But I'll tell you what, one reason I was asking about, you know, were you scared and all this is because when I took out my first loan, I was so scared to use it. I couldn't even use it because I didn't, you know, want to have to pay this money back. So I think even just learning how to use your money and how to think about your money is a huge, huge learning curve in being an entrepreneur.
Oh, absolutely. I would would 100% agree with that. And I think that we're also so afraid to make a mistake with it when we get it from other places. And I think especially as women, we're even more petrified because we've been raised to be more concerned with perfection and afraid to take that first step. And sometimes, you know, asking that first person for money, whether that's a bank or your parents or your best friend or whoever it is, once you get past that first step, just look to the one next step. Like, we get so hung up in, like, how are we going to find all of the money to pay them back?
Right.
And we get stuck out in this future that we're afraid that we're going to mess up. Like, focus on the one next thing that you can do, and only that. And then when you get there, you can see what the next step is. You don't have to know every single step it's going to take to get you there. Just have faith in that first one and then the next one.
That's great advice.
It's so good because I remember when I was working on my flip and wanted to get money for the actual process of rehabilitation for it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm like, okay, I need $100,000. What are we looking at like here? And I mean, I remember I talked to a private lender and gave him the whole story, everything that it's going to look like, all the things. And he was like, yeah, no. And I was like, oh, oh, wait, what? And then I was like, you know, that moment of devastation. And what should I do? Should I do this again? Like, should I stop? Am I doing the wrong thing? This guy is super intelligent. He does this all the time and could look at me and go, no. And I was like, sweet. So then I just picked up the phone and called another one.
Yeah.
Like, right away. And then he told me, no. And I was like, oh, that is, I'm going to go drink now. You know, like, it was one of those. And so, but then after that, I just found a great hard money lender, and it was perfect, and it was the best relationship, and is. So all things work out, because then after that, I'm like, what is the next step? So exactly what you're saying. And people are going to tell you no. Be okay with that. I always say, like, you know, like, what's the worst they can say? No? Okay.
Right. And that was, you know, similarly to ours. If we didn't succeed, the worst thing that was going to happen to us is we were going to have to find a job, like everybody else. Like, okay, so if that's the worst that can happen, we've been doing that for years.
And you know what, Michael? Last week on our show, you said something that I just loved so very much, and it was just that every time you look at what the worst case scenario can be, and if you know that you can conquer that, then you feel okay to go into that. Like, you always see your next plan and go, what's the worst thing that's going to happen if XYZ? And you and I have talked about this a lot, because your business is growing, but you're starting to get nervous about the rate of growth of it, because then you're going to need more employees. You're going to have to grow your business with more supplies. And do you want to take on that much? Like, what does that look like? And it makes you cautious and nervous, but then you have to get to that end point, like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Well, you're going to have extra income to fund new employees and get maybe an assistant, like I tell you need to do for 8 million times.
I've got one now.
You
just
do?
So you know.
Fabulous.
I'm so happy for you. I can't believe you didn't.
You know what? You're talking about something that's super important, because what I think is that people often just try to grow too quickly. And in certain industries, you have to be careful of that.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So you have to be systematic and not just, you know, because an opportunity is available, necessarily take it. I think you really have to be diligent and kind of think through what your growth looks like.
Yeah.
What is
Jennifer doesn't like when I talk like this. Look at her.
I can't even, because
She's
our
like,
personality types are so different that Danielle, what do you think about this? Like, when she says that, it sounds so brilliant. And just, I mean, I really respect your belief in that.
No, she
and
thinks I'm full of it. Because here's what Jen wants.
That's not true. That's
she
not
thinks,
true.
no, throw
like
it
it is.
out there in the wind and take off with it. And I agree.
No, I don't.
Well, I agree to that in a certain capacity, right? I feel like I've done that. I mean, that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years, right? But like, also, where in my business, look at Jen looking at me. Everything is based on quality, right?
Right.
And I know that you can ruin a relationship in my business if your quality dips too long.
Absolutely.
So like, I just have to make sure I have a handle on it. Now, don't get me wrong, I've got plans. Next year we're going to be doing more than we are this year. But at the same time, like, I have to be able to manage it. Currently, I'm the only one managing it. So I have to just have some parameters, and I don't have to take advantage of every single opportunity that comes my way right now.
I agree.
Is
and
that okay?
It sounds, yeah, it is. It sounds so good. And I respect you so much for that, because it's smart. And systematic is a word that I should use and don't, because I definitely we have some very complete opposite personality types. And for
That's
me,
why we're a good team.
Yeah.
Fist bump.
Yes, that was a good fist bump too.
I love it.
But that's why I see stuff and I'm like, yes. Someone's like, you want to do a radio show? Yeah. You want to flip a house? Yes. Like, you want to, I'm like, opportunities only come so often. So when they do, I feel like you really need to grab them. And also it gives you an opportunity to see what you love to do, what you hate to do. And I'm like, let me make mistakes so I can never do that again. But 5 years from now, if I'm still thinking to myself, man, I wish I would have did that radio show that I really didn't have enough time to do, then I would rather take on too much and figure out what I need to eliminate than not take up an opportunity and regret it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, because I think part of this is you have to stretch yourself, right? You have to get uncomfortable. You have to kind of have your feet held to the fire, because that is really, I think, when you start to learn your most valuable lessons.
What do you think, Danielle?
I mean,
what do you think now that you've got a mansion in the works?
No, I think we had a number of opportunities come to us right after we opened Haven Collective, and we knew that we wanted to do multiple locations within our first 5 years. We always felt like there was more of a community that we could serve if we were able to go into different neighborhoods. So this was always on our mind, and finding the right location was high on the list of needs. And things came to us a lot, and they didn't all fit. We really require, space with parking and natural light and things that make you feel comfortable. Like, you don't want to walk, find parking and then walk 5 blocks to get there.
With all your work stuff in hand.
I mean, especially,
you
when we're talking about HQ, had kids care, and so it's, it really mattered that we were strategic and intentional about our growth, even though people had these properties that they thought would be amazing for us, and, come to the south side and open up here. I have this building that would be perfect for you. We never let somebody else tell us what was perfect for us. We always sat with what we strategically and intentionally wanted from it. And so when the mansion was talked about, it felt right. It fit into what we were hoping to accomplish. And so I think that you can be a little bit of both, you, Michael, and you, Jen. I think your personalities can blend really well. So, being able to sit in that uncomfortable space, and if it aligns with what you're hoping to get from your business strategically, then you can intentionally go after it. And if you're just growing for growth's sake, then maybe hesitate and think about it a little bit more.
I like it.
Love
Well,
it.
there's 2 other things we got to cover. The first thing is I want you to quickly talk about your wine event.
Yeah, so
on the 29th.
we have a 10 for 20 wine tasting coming up on the 29th.
Sorry, did you say 10 for 20? 10 for 20. That sounds amazing.
It's going to be a lot of fun at Haven on August 29th. So that is up on Eventbrite or on our website, on our happenings page. You can come check that out.
And last but not least, tell everybody how to get in touch with you or follow you.
Absolutely. So havencolumbus.com is our website. We have all kinds of great information there, as well as Facebook and Instagram, where we are at haven.collective.
Danielle, I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
What's your why?
Oh my goodness. I like to help people intentionally collaborate. And so creating community that allows people to come together and make things more amazing by working intentionally together.
And if you can give one piece of advice out to someone that wants to go start a business, and it would be something that you're just saying, like, do this, don't do that, and or, I don't know, a sentence of wisdom, please bring it on to these ladies right now.
A sentence of wisdom. I like to go through the process of actually creating a business plan, whether you're going to be asking other people for money or not. It helps you really understand what your business is and why you're creating it. So I would say start there.
I love
great.
it.
You're awesome.
Hey, Michael, why don't you tell
Hey,
everybody how to
Jennifer.
get in touch with your painting business? My favorite home painters.
Yes.
Exterior, interior,
And
commercial.
don't forget that.
It didn't let me finish the sentence.
NoDripPainting.com. Check us out there and check us out on Facebook. Jennifer, how do we get in touch with the best realtor in C-Bus?
Oh my gosh. You know what? All you have to do, it's so very easy, is follow me on Instagram at WelcomeHome614. But I would also love it if you would just shoot me a text, give me a call at 614-657-1219. And then you can also please follow 614Fempreneur on Facebook, where you can see the videos get uploaded, a little bit of information about our guests, and so much more. Some like positive, good words and
That's right.
vibes for days. It is at 614-FEMPRENEUR. That's 614Fempreneur on Facebook. We love you guys.
Good deal. Thanks for joining us.